Before we get started, let's talk about a couple of different radiuses that are popular in skateboarding. Mini ramps that are super fun for front side 50/50s that you can bring in with confidence. They're usually about 3.5 feet high and they have a 7-foot radius. More likely to happen these days is someone's building a DIY spot. Those tend to be a little quicker, more like a 5-foot radius. That's what we're gonna make, is a 5-foot radius transition using tape measure, Sharpie, and a good screw to anchor things down. Put some kind of pivot point in. I like to use an old scrap piece of plywood. That way I can move it around for adjustments. We're gonna measure out 5 feet on the tape measure and lock it in right there. You simply slide your tape measure over the screw that you've used to anchor. And as long as you can pull on it, you'll be fine. If you were building a mini ramp where your radius starts, you want it to be the height of a 2x4. But since we're gonna go ahead and do this for some DIY, we wanna get it all the way down to about a 1/2 inch. To do that, we're gonna adjust the position of our scrap plywood. Give it a couple runs without your pen to make sure everything's working out and your radius is indeed being drawn to where you expect it to be. This looks great to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw it. This is a pretty cool part right here. All you have to do is lock your Sharpie into the end of your tape measure and hold it taut. I'm gonna draw the radius. There it is. Nice 5-foot radius. Simple. To cut your transition, I believe you'll want to use a jigsaw. And this will work if you have sawhorses, but it's actually harder than you think to cut along that line. What I've learned is that a skill saw is the way to go. When I do cut with a skill saw, even though it's in my backyard, I like to pretend I'm on location and I can't cut into the ground. So I'm going to use that same scrap piece. I'm just going to place it underneath where my line's going to be cut. The trick to the skill saw is to set the blade to the minimum depth. Let me show you what I mean by that. Minimum depth is the depth of the plywood plus just a little bit more. Lock that in, and now you're only cutting with this much of the tool. That's the minimum depth. Okay, when you're cutting your radius, you don't want to use your guide. This is only for cutting straight lines. What you actually want to do is watch the blade as it hits the line. Using just a little bit of pressure with my wrist to help make this transitional cut. Sometimes the tool will bind up because of the radius, but just give it a second, back it out, and start again. I'm just gonna cut it free. Now, we have a very recognizable ramp radius. Drawn, cut, and it's perfect. So as I was doing all that, I realized us as skaters, we're kind of using the terms wrong. Radius is just the measurement from the center of a circle to the end. Then we actually have to cut the arc in it. We're not cutting a radius, we're cutting an arc.